Okay. Okay. Please stand for a flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted in the bulletin board in the municipal building, mailed to all requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here.
Councilman President Rogers. Here. Councilman Bay.
Here.
Councilman Baranco.
Here.
Councilman Deline.
Here.
Councilman Giaconetti.
Here.
Councilman Benton.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney Joseph Ragno and our Borough Administrator Kevin Boyle.
Okay, thank you. Before we get going, I just want to have a little update. Of course, there was another horrible story in the record about what's going on in the DuPont contamination. The DEP Commissioner, Kathleen McCabe, was quoted in the papers basically stating, I don't understand why all residents in the plume don't have a system already. She doesn't make sense to her that residents wouldn't, and feels that the plume is moving in the directions that it needs to. I'll quote, "The plume is cleaning up," she said, "of the toxic underground that has been sitting under homes since 1980. It's going along." So we have the protection for the health of the residents and long-term cleanup program in works. The reason I bring that up, the record still has a decision to go against what the federal government is saying, the state government, and even the local government about how they feel the cleanup is going over there. Now we have our local reporter, Jay Agnes, is jumping in along with O'Neill to fulfill these stories. And it just puts a black eye on Pompton Lakes every time they throw this story in the paper. We all know we have an issue in the plume. We all know it has to be cleaned up. We have 3 agencies overseeing this. I would hope they could understand how the system works. When you have cross-party lines saying the same thing, it must be going in the right direction. Could it move faster? Of course. Are there other concerns that we're going to have to meet as they come down? I'm sure there will. But we're moving in the right direction. Why the record can't understand that and write a positive story about the cleanup? We just finished the lake. It's just cleaned up. We're ready to put it back together again. I see no story in the paper about that. I see no story in the paper of how the new lake will look, how the walkway will look, all the work that was done to clean up the lake. No mention of that in the record. It's just the same story over and over again. And this is why many residents have come to me and I said, I'm done reading the record and the trends because of the way they're portraying our town here. And I think as a group, we have to speak up. We can't be quiet about it. When you see these reporters, let them know how you feel. Everyone has their right to their opinion. They should hear opinions from in every direction and every side. So that's just my piece on it. Again, I'm not happy with the record and how they wrote the story. And if anybody wants to jump in, there's more than more.
I'll say something, Mayor.
Okay.
You know, I think that if the reporters are not capable of writing the truth about what we're doing with our town, I think that maybe we as a council could probably get a press release done and let everybody know what exactly is happening, and then let the public discourse come here and confirm the truth and know the truth. If we depend on the press always for the truth and just expect them to give us the truth and the facts of everything, I think that we're doing ourselves a disservice. There's no reason why we can't engage the news outlets and share press releases and tell them exactly what's happening.
Unfortunately, there's not many news outlets left. The EPA and the DEP have their own departments that handle that. The problem is these reporters, O'Neill, Agnes, and I forgot the other gentleman, Fallon, don't seem to call the DEP or the EPA to get their remarks, and they don't seem to care. So
Do they at least quote their sources?
no.
So then, what are we
So it is what it is, but I mean, I will not sit quiet. If there's a problem and something is not done there right, I will also speak out against that. But when I have these agencies telling me it's moving along, could it be better? Probably. Then we have to go with that wording right now.
So is there something...
I'll join you about not being quiet, Mayor. Sorry.
Beyond my level of expertise, so I'll look to this side of the room. When we have these stories, and, you know, I came armed with this story, but the mayor beat me to the punch. Are we in a position to, as opposed to our normal website that handles normal discourse, are we in a position to really go on the attack a little bit? Record misleads borough residents again, or record misleads, prints untruths, you know, and sort of take it out there a little bit more.
You know, I'm not looking to have a fight with the record per se. I just want our residents to have the correct information.
So don't identify them.
That's
Say, newspaper misleads.
We could post a statement where we stand on it and as a rebuttal, so to speak. Plus,
We can, and we've done that in the past. It doesn't go anywhere. I know a couple residents have written letters to the record in response in the editorials. They were not published. They were told they were too long. They were told they didn't have room for it. So, you know, they're doing what they do on their side for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, what we could push and say, where are the positive stories about Pompton Lakes?
That's a different issue. Where are the positive stories of the Pompton Lakes is basically challenging the reporter. You know, when we were little children, and maybe decorum has gone out the window, but when we were little children, you learned something very interesting. And basically the rule of thumb was, you need to say 2 nice things before you can say 1 negative thing. Now, that might not be the rule of thumb in terms of newspaper and publishing, but the bottom line is encouraging them to say something nice and run some decent stories and accurate stories is different from what we've had in the past. We know that they're not going to print our letters to the editor. We know that they're not printing our news releases. We know that there are those out on Facebook who try to get and other social media try to get the message out. But that's not the same as we, as a mayor and council and a governing body, saying the truth about Pompton Lakes is, and then having a statement. Whether people use our website, whether it will reach a different group that perhaps is not using Facebook, it's just something instead of, look, your remark here goes out to those on Channel 7 who are watching on 77, or who watch it on our website. But it's just another potential mechanism that, because at this point, I agree with you, they seem to be a little out of control in terms of how they're presenting our town to the general North Jersey community.
And don't forget, there was just a story 2 weeks ago about the DEP and Army Corps of Engineers site that's been on the plan for the last 15 years that has nothing to do with the town. It's the DEP and FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers that needs to clean up their own property. But somehow they dragged us into it as Pompton Lakes, and it is in Pompton Lakes, and it does need to be cleaned up. But there's nothing we can do to clean that up, and you don't hear that. He didn't mention that anywhere. He just kept throwing the word Pompton Lakes in there. So I agree with everything you're saying. I think we need to think about it a little bit as we move forward. I think we need, I know personally, I've stopped talking to the record. I won't give them any interviews. I won't give them any stories. They call me twice a week asking me questions. I refuse to give them anything. So, and I'm not telling anybody to do that or not to do that. That's my own personal opinion. But at the end of the day, if they're going to write a story on something like this, they just wrote a 5-piece article on this, and it's the same article they wrote 2 months later.
and much of what was in those 5 pieces is old news that's been rehashed many times over. It's my opinion, we have a new governor, and what they're trying to do is make it a Superfund site, and that's their goal.
And at the end of the day, if the EPA and the DEP say this is what it has to be, we're not here to fight them. We're here to just say we're doing what we're told to by the EPA and the DEP. And that's the information that needs to come forward from where we stand from that point on. We understand the residents in that area. No one, unless maybe a couple who live in that area, could speak personally about it. It's a hard thing to live there every day and know that's there. I understand that. I would feel uneasy knowing that all the time, even with the system on. But for people not to have systems, like the DEP commissioner said, it's a little ridiculous at this point not to have a system on your house. That's all I'm going to say about that. We'll just keep that in mind. I want everybody to keep that in mind as we move forward. Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments? So moved. Councilman Devine, Council President Riker. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Closed? Oh, okay, raise your hand, I'm sorry.
Andy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. On that same note, why don't you continue to talk to them and give them your strong opinion that they are messing up, in your opinion, and to give highlights of what we are doing positive for Pompton Lakes. I mean, by you not talking to them at all,
I've done that, and they don't record or report anything I say. That's the problem.
well, you have to, just like I keep coming to all these meetings and try to put my
You are correct.
2 cents in for a bucket truck that would have worked in this last storm,
We had no issues this last time. We were perfect.
we would have been able to take down some limbs and help Mr. Evangelista out at the firehouse, but we don't have one that will reach that high, so
We're working on it.
we have to wait, but I hope that you can work on it. I was with the love of my life today, and she said, "Oh, you're going to the Memorial Day Parade?" I said, "Yes, I'd like to go, see my council, see my town." And so she went on to find out when it starts and how. She couldn't find anything. It said, go to Facebook, go to Facebook. She's not on Facebook, and she was a little upset that you can only get information from Facebook. I said, go to the website. So she went to the website, and there it was, about the Memorial Day Parade, but it was 2017. So I don't know if that information had been updated, or
I'm sure it was a mistake about the, is there, I don't know, is the date?
there wasn't anything on the Memorial Day Parade
Is it in
that
the
she could
updates?
find.
I agree with you, it should be on our website. We'll look into that, right? Yeah, it definitely should be there, and I will be honest, I've had a couple, now, understand, we don't put on the Memorial Day Parade,
That's true.
but we support it, we back it, and I have had some residents call me and trying to get information of the time and date and place. So if maybe we can get that up there, that would be good.
And a couple other residents were talking to me the other day, and they said they went on our website, and they went to Transparency in Government,
Okay.
and they were trying to pull up the salaries for the employees of the borough, and they found them, but they were of 2014 and 2015, nothing for 16, 17, and 18. Is there any reason why that?
They are operable, we do not have to put them on our website.
You do not have
We
to?
do not have to, no. But if they want to find out, they could always come in here and do an Oprah request. But we've, in the past, put it up, I'll see why we haven't, recently, I don't know why we haven't. But I know they don't, by law, they don't have to be there.
Well, they were up there for 2014 and 2015.
Well, most years they decided to put them up there, I guess.
2015 was the year you became mayor, correct? And since then, they haven't been on there?
Not, you're saying no, I haven't looked, so I don't know that.
They only require certain things to go up on the website.
And that's not a requirement? So you would have to, it's not public knowledge?
It's public knowledge, if you Oprah it, it's a public knowledge, yes, sir.
But it was on before, why you continue to
The
do it?
last administration maybe put it up there, I don't know why they did, I wasn't part of that decision.
Okay.
Well, we can revisit that, we can.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem putting it up there, but I don't want to speak for the office, I don't know what's involved with
The
that.
website before this one had it up there.
Yeah, but again,
This year.
It had only been updated in 2015.
If you go to the website now, you can pull up those salaries from 2014, 2015.
How much work would that take, a lot of work to put that up?
I don't know how to do that. I mean, I don't know who does it.
We'll look into it.
We'll look into
Yeah,
it.
we're looking into it, yeah, I have no
Yeah.
problem, we put it up there.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a problem.
Let's bring it up high.
Yeah, I have no problem.
It's just the residents were asking me, and
Yeah,
being they don't come, and I do,
Okay.
and I don't think
Absolutely.
it takes 3 years to get them up.
No,
to me, I think it's more of a hassle to have them come in and fill out the paperwork and bother the clerk and all that for something that could just be on the website, listen, we're open,
yeah, I have no
Make-
problem, I just don't know who, I'll talk to you guys.
Yeah.
Is that something we put up in the past, or the administration?
Oh,
Who
we
put
did?
it up?
Yeah,
I mean,
It was part of the toolkit at one time.
which toolkit?
Governor's.
The governor, but that's an old toolkit.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not,
Right. At one point, the governor put out a toolkit that you kind of follow to how you do things.
Right.
And I guess at the last administration followed that toolkit. There hasn't been another toolkit, I guess, out. Has there been?
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
yeah, we can solve those things out.
It wasn't a requirement to do that.
Yeah, You know something? Let's go above and beyond. Show them how Pompton Lakes really works. Let's
have
go
no
above and beyond. Really show them, we put it on you.
I have
You don't
no
have to, but we
problem.
do it. That's what kind of town we are. Let them put that in the record. How about that, Mayor?
Come on, we'll leave it to supposed to. There you go.
There you
Thanks,
go.
Frank, so I don't have to bother Liz tomorrow night?
Exactly, right. They'll work on it.
Well, you can put an
Our
Oprah request in
situation's right
if that's
here.
what you're asking. You can put an Oprah request in if that's what you're asking.
No, I don't want to bother Liz, she's got enough on her plate.
In between your races and everything else you have to do, right?
Okay, anything else?
I just want to say that, we had those storms recently, that microburst that came through, and we did have some trees come down. We had problems at the library. We're gonna take one of those trees down, we're gonna try to get them down. And then a big limb broke in the other one, so I called Val Cole, and she said the first concert is June 14th. So we're gonna try to get that taken care of before that concert. And, then at the firehouse, we had some issues, and, Corning Ave, big tree's gonna be taken down tomorrow. Corning Ave is now closed off. But basically, we still had no power outage, and we did pretty good.
And I will say this, I'm in contact with the Jersey Central Commissioner for our region, and he said to me, Mayor, I am amazed you have no power outages where you are. He said, Wanacue had 3,500, Quantic had 4,000. He said, most of the towns surrounding you had thousands of people out. He said, I have no reports of any outings in your town. And I said, we have a very good shade tree commission, so that's what we do. And he actually said to me, I wish other towns...
Which camera is it?
He said, I wish other towns had an active shade tree commission.
Yeah, well, hey, we're trying to do the best we can, like I said, between 700 and 800 trees. So,
It was a storm that went through, and luckily, we didn't have any real problems. We had a tree come down in the back of the municipal building that took out a power line, but it was...
did it? I didn't know.
Yeah, well, it was taken care of by the school and us.
there was one on North Stiles Court that come down and hit the house, but it didn't do any damage. So we did have a few go down, but, we had no real power outage, so that was good.
Yep, I agree with you.
Hey,
Thank you.
wait a minute.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm sorry, at the library, is it the pine tree? That's the problem with?
No, actually, it's the two,
Which one's it?
large trees against, Daniel Motors' old building, I think.
Right, over that way? Oh, okay.
Yeah, one of them is towards Wanacue. Huh?
By the shed.
By the building, that's right there, the one that they wanna,
Okay,
one is, it's gonna come down, the one closer to Wanacue Ave,
all right.
and then the other one will prune. Because a lot of people during the concerts, they get underneath
Yeah,
the
right.
shade of that tree, so we're
Okay,
trying to save it.
all right, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, actually, but one more thing, excuse me, as a shade tree commissioner. I have had some people come to me that a couple of the branches on the library, on the inside of the sign, so the sign has two sides to it. The front sign is not a problem, but some of the branches hang down on the back side and they can't read
That cherry tree.
the cherry tree. Let's wait till it's done blossoming, and maybe we can just take off a lower branch if we can.
Yeah,
So
those
you can see
trees
the
need
sign.
some pruning, but then, they bloom so well that,
Yeah, I wouldn't touch them now, and I don't know if the
Cut too
DEP, is
much.
that something they can do? I mean, DPW. DEP could do it, I'm sure. Okay,
yeah, DPW.
yeah.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Our motion to close this public session. So moved. Councilman Lennon, Councilman Giaconetto. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Approval of minutes. Motion to approve the following minutes. Regular meeting minutes of May 9th, 2018. So motion. Councilman Lennon?
Second, Mayor.
Councilman Baranco? All in favor? Aye. Against? Bills and, present? We have a present. Did you get that one, Liz?
Yes.
Bills and claims, motion to approve the following bills as listed below. Councilman Bay? Second. Councilman Venom? Yes. You present? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Petitions, we have none. Consent agenda whenever you're ready.
Does anyone wish to call in resolutions?
Can we pull 18-116?
Sure. Whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, and whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes does desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda, now therefore be resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolutions 18-115 through 18-119, and we're going to post 18-116.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Giaconetti, Councilman Begg. Roll call, please. What, do we need, no, it's all in favor. Aye. Against?
Aye.
Against? All right, separate action.
Resolution 18-116, authorizing a contract for acquisition of goods and services pursuant to state statute with Mitchell, Humphrey and Company.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Council President Riker? Second. Councilman Bennett? Discussion.
It says that the contracts to provide products and support for building, construction, and zoning modules. Just explain what that is.
Currently, the building department runs on a very old construction system known as Roadrunner. And it's antiquated, basically. And honestly, Marlene, who's here for so many years, understood the system. So it made no sense to upgrade until Marlene retired, basically. Marlene has retired. This is a state-of-the-art system that will do construction permitting, zoning, and we also had to buy a module because we do Riverdale. That's what upgrades the whole construction process. It's going to allow us to, as you probably know or don't know, like in most towns, there are tons of open permits that are never ever closed out. Because the system doesn't, I don't understand why the system doesn't require that. We say this for years, is that the state should require the system to say, after so let's go back and try to close out a permit. Unless you, as the permittee, request an inspection, some permits are never closed out. I mean, forever. And I have to go back years. So this now actually allows the trigger to try to get those permits closed out in a timely fashion so it doesn't last longer. So that's why we're doing it. It's time to upgrade to be more within the 21st century of technology.
Okay.
Is the trigger moving forward for new permits?
Excuse me?
Is it for permits moving forward? Or
It'll have to be. No, it'll have to be. Yeah. We'll have to have the cutoff and go from there.
Okay, we have a motion second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ordinances for second reading.
This ordinance has been posted, advertised and posted on the municipal bulletin board. Ordinance 18-10, ordinance providing various improvements in and by the Borough of Pompton Lakes in the County of Passaic, New Jersey, and appropriating $279,600 therefore from the capital surplus of the borough.
Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 1810?
So moved.
Council President Riker? Second. Councilman Bennett? Anyone from the, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address just this ordinance? Step up, please.
Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. Can you just give an explanation of the various improvements? Quick little rundown? Thank you.
I can do that. As I mentioned in the prior meeting, this $279,000 in change is money that was canceled from old funding sources, old ordinances. A lot of the money is going to get refunds back from our different grants, and so this is a way of recapturing dollars without going to additional debt, basically. So this $279,000 is going to include the time sync system that OEM put before. So when you're on a call, there's a time sync to the call relative to making sure we know when calls came in, and it will sync all of our responding units. Library is going to be getting some computer equipment. We're going to upgrade the delivery computer here to upgrade to help upgrade Channel 77. There's going to be various other computer information and equipment. First aid squad's getting $30,000 to do improvements there. There's a sidewalk issue, a roof issue, a couple other things that'll be done. We're looking to try to do computerized river gauges. Right now, we're putting the metal ones back up that were there for many years. We're going to try to go to the computerized river gauges at the same time. As you find out, when we have flooding events, you go to the federal websites. Sometimes they crash, you can't get on. So we're going to try to do that. The county had notified us that a couple of approaches to bridges have to be repaired. We're going to be doing that. County of Passaic also, we did it. Rutgers came to a presentation to the council a year or so ago to do some work with stormwater study and so forth. So the first half of the study was done by the County of Passaic through an intern for free. We're going to fund the second half of the study. The shade tree plantings are in that funding. Our normal storm drain repairs we do for our CRS rating, also just for maintenance to our system, this road runner system, and a few other things is in this also, and also some planning and zoning, mapping and so forth, this is also part of this $279,000. Thank you.
Any questions from the, no. Motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 18-10.
So moved.
Councilman Devine?
Second.
Councilman Bennett? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 18-10 for final adoption.
I move, Mayor.
Councilman Branco?
Second.
Councilman Begg? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bay?
Yes.
Councilman Miranda?
Yes.
Councilman Deline?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ray?
Yes.
Councilman Bay?
Yes.
And ordinance 18-11, bond ordinance appropriating $1,300,000 and authorizing the issuance of $1,023,000 bonds or notes of the borough for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Borough of Pompton Lake in the County of Passaic, New Jersey.
Motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 18-11.
So moved.
Councilman Begg?
Second.
Council President Riker? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address this ordinance?
Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. Just, why was there a difference in the two numbers? Appropriating 1.3 million and 1.023?
Well, it's based upon, we have grants that, the grants are there, so happen, you might appropriate, the actual debt number is going to change because we have a grant $225,000, we're putting our own funding in, so bottom line is that the total debt service is going to be less than appropriate because of our own funding and the grant.
And those various improvements are road work mostly?
It was, I can tell you right now, Grant Avenue paving, the grant there was $225,000. Some avenue repairs, we're going to be doing that project. The fire department's getting equipment. Every year, our traffic light company, General Electric, tells us we need to upgrade our lights. So now we have the opportunity to do that. We're going to put money toward river work, put money toward a new OEM building at the First Aid Squad, some money for Marsh Canal Greenway. There's money being appropriated to improve the pond hole. As you know, the drainage of the pond hole is abysmal at best. We're going to hope to do something there as part of the overall redevelopment scheme, and hopefully the bid will help kick in some dollars toward that, but that's $370,000, and some of them are offset by bid. By bid dollars, and also we have some money for library improvements.
Could you finish it off with Montclair Avenue?
That's next year.
We do a system.
It was next year, Rick.
2019.
Try.
Motion to close the public meeting for public comments on ordinance 18-11.
So moved.
Councilman Devine? Councilman Jacanetta? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 18-11 for final adoption.
So moved.
Council President Riker?
Second.
Councilman Devine? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bay?
Yes.
Councilman Miranda?
Yes.
Councilman Deline?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ray?
Yes.
Councilman Net?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Under my report, we do have our Memorial Day Parade this Sunday. It will be starting at the Memorial, which is at Lakeside and Jefferson. The ceremony begins at 11:30. The parade follows immediately after. Usually it's about 12 noon. It marches down Colfax Avenue, down Wanacue Avenue to the VFW, where there are some refreshments served back there. I want to thank Bob McGrady and his whole team of people that put that together. They do a great job every year. He's been doing it, I think, over 30 years he's been putting this together. So it's always an event that I like to see people turn out to if we can. This is rain or shine, unless it's thunderstorms and lightning, then it will be canceled. So hopefully we can get up on our website if there is a problem with rain.
I'll take care of this one.
Okay.
Thank you, Liz.
Okay. Under my report, I had myself, the administrator, Councilman Begg, and the attorney met with the radio station. We're getting closer to a deal with the radio station. We hope to have some word on when they will be turning the switch to turn on the radio station. Hopefully this summer, or even sooner, it could take place. They're still working out the logistics of it. a piece of good news that we got about the radio station, every couple of years, 5 to 10 years, is it a permit? Permit, right?
It's a construction permit for an FM translator.
A construction permit is put out by the FCC for a FM translator, which makes the station become an FM station. Very hard to get, doesn't happen very often. We didn't really feel like we had a chance at it. We ended up winning the lotto on that, so we are getting the FM translator. We're working out the details on how that's going to work. Hopefully the radio station, because at the end of the period, they might be looking at to purchase the station, so they might be putting it in. What that does is it's a 50-watt FM station. It's pretty large. It can reach much further than the AM station, and the problem I understand with AM, I'm not a big radio guy, but with AM, the mountains get in the way of a lot of the transmitting of the signal. FM kind of goes over all that. So they're looking at it that maybe possibly New York City, at least Wayne, Willowbrook, and up north. So that's a big deal. And, the deal we're working out with them is we've asked for only two things from the radio station. One, that they pay the taxes on the property so we don't lose the taxes on it. We can't make them pay taxes, but they're going to be paying a rent that would equal the taxes. And also to keep it the local radio station that we've always had here, so it would be a Pompton station like it's always been, and they agreed to both of those things, so I think it'll work out well for everyone.
The biggest clue, though, is that the FM allows them to go 24 hours.
Right. So it's a win-win for everyone, so I think it's looking very good, and I think by the end of the summer, maybe we have it up in a new radio station, and I will tell you, they are already researching the type of music that Pompton Lakes likes to listen to. So I don't know how they do that, but they haven't told me yet. I know it. Unfortunately, it's not polka. Well, people who've been in town a long time understand the polka hour, so I don't know if that'll still be around. Moving along, I did a couple weddings. I got to attend the Brownie Girl Scout meeting where I sat, and I always enjoy doing that because, they don't hold back when they ask questions. They just throw them right out there. Their biggest concern is why we don't have a swimming pool here in Pompton Lakes, and I said I would work on that for them. I also was lucky enough to take a tour of Tilcon with Assemblyman Rooney and some others. Very impressive setup in the back in Tilcon, if you haven't been there. They've been digging in that mine there for almost 100 years, and the hole in the back where they dig is, probably 800 feet deep from the top to the bottom. They do it in 50-foot stages, and there's 8 stages, and the DEP permit that they have to work there allows them to go another 250 feet deeper. So it's a very impressive operation. Very large. He was showing us some of the machinery they use there, some of the big bucket trucks that they move the equipment with. The tires alone are $60,000 a piece. So it's a pretty impressive operation they got going there. Eventually, I can't tell you the time frame on this, they're looking to move into Bloomingdale. So our Broad Street entrance, where Tilcon is in and out, would probably go away, which would be a good thing for Pompton Lakes. We would lose all the truck traffic and the dust and all the problems we've had along the way there. That is something that is definitely in the plans. That is something they're definitely working towards. There is no time frame for that, but it was a very impressive meeting. I also attended the redevelopment meeting, and I'm sure some other people here will talk about that. I attended the bid. The bid is very active, and especially at this time of the year, I'm sure people will talk about it. We have the concert series, but we also they're going to be starting to put out flower pots at each 50 or so on the street to brighten up the street a little bit. And one of our biggest concerns were last time we did this was how they could water them. They worked out a deal with our DPW employees off hours to come in and water, so I think it will work. It's good for them. They're getting some nice overtime separate from the town, and the plant should live, so I think it's a nice project they got going there. I attended the rec meeting. The big news in the rec meeting would be the summer camp is in the process of accepting applications now. They really need to know the numbers of campers, so if you're thinking about sending your child to camp, you really need to sign up now. If you don't sign up before June 1st, there will be late fees involved. So if you're on that edge of when you're going to decide, you should do it now. We also have to try to figure out the programs and the number of counselors needed, so it's very important that we get that number down. They're also in the process of talking about our next Pompton Day. Pompton Day, of course, will be in Labor Day weekend. Hopefully, the fence will be removed from Lakeside Avenue because the work could be done. We're hoping for that, and that would bring it back to where we used to be with Pompton Day. And if anybody would like to help with Pompton Day, please reach out to myself or Karen Murphy. We're always looking for new ideas and new help there. I attended the zoning board meeting last night, which was, usually zoning board meetings are very quiet. Last night was not one. The temple that we have in town, who's been there 50 years or so, is it 50 years ago? Has sold their complex to another religious organization. There will be a mosque going in there. The gentleman came in and spoke. He was very community-minded. He would like to work with the town. They offer a lot of programs that they would invite the town residents to use, and we've invited them to use all our local programs. They will be just taking it over as it is right now. No changes to the temple itself, but it was approved last night, and it's a religious institution. Doesn't matter which religion goes into these institutions. They're exempt from many things, especially taxes, and so we welcome them to town, and hopefully we can work well with them together. And I think that's my report. That is my report. Council President Reichel.
Thank you, Mayor. Just in addition to a couple of your remarks, several of us went to a ribbon cutting, I think, since the last meeting at Nikki G's Pizza. We beat the rain by just a couple of moments, and they were very happy to have a lot of people besides mayor and council. We had bid representatives, chamber representatives, and it was very nicely attended, and they seemed very happy to be in our community. Just to comment on the bucket trucks. I happen to have some tree work done at my home, and I used a long-standing local tree company, and afterwards he was in the bucket truck on a number of trees of mine that needed to be pared down. And I engaged him in conversation, and I said, you know, bucket trucks come up at our council meetings a significant amount of time. I said, and I shared with him a little bit about what's gone on, and he just looked at me and he shook his head, and he said, people have no conception of what is involved in getting your licenses, your certification, your insurance, and he estimated that, and they had, I would say about a half a dozen people working, but there was only one person who was certified to use the bucket truck. He estimated that it was in excess of $250,000 just for him to maintain his bucket truck licensing, certification, insurance, and he gave me even a higher number, so I didn't want to blow your mind. So I'm hoping that maybe that will put some of the notion of putting volunteers in a bucket truck is foolhardy. Other parts of my report. Mayor mentioned that last Thursday was very busy here in town. We had a bid meeting in the afternoon, and we had a redevelopment meeting in the evening. Then he mentioned a couple of things. I'll mention a few, and I'm sure Councilman Vega will have more to say. The community is doing a shred party. Is it June 2nd? Yes. And so the bid is trying to throw some extra money in the pot to increase the availability.
Can I disagree further?
Sure.
The Borough of Pompton Lakes is sponsoring the whole project.
That's, and the
The bid
bid
is not
is,
paying for it.
there was talk of the bid adding more time to the
Oh,
party.
maybe, all I know is
No, so that's what I want to clarify. What I'm trying to say is encouraging folks, other communities have done it with tremendous success, and encourage people to come, do their shredding, stay in town and eat. And what the bid was doing is their visit the merchant sticker program. They were trying to work it out so that when you go to bring your shredding, they'll give you a new card so that you could, in fact, participate in the sticker program that just ended last week.
Well, let's just ask the administrator one thing real quick, that's what came up. Kevin, with the shredder, if the shredder was to fill up,
we're only paying for it.
Right, no, I'm saying on our side that we're paying for it. So if this machine fills up with stuff,
Before, we're advertising it from 9
You
to
have to talk
12.
hard about that. My job was to find funding for it, and I did that, before recycling.
all right, so,
No, let him ask his question.
it's from 9 to 12. If at 9:30 it's filled up,
I don't, that's why how that works. I'm not being honest with you.
okay, and that was the question that came
I'll put that
up.
part.
So I think the bid was looking at, in case it fills up, buying another machine, if that's possible, to bring another
Or
machine
adding
in.
or agreeing to pay for the added hours. So basically, the point of my comments are, we have a shred party, it's June 2nd, we haven't done it as a community, it is a good community service. I think it's scheduled to start at 9 a.m., correct?
Yes.
Okay, and folks who are really passionate about getting rid of their papers that they wish to shred are encouraged to come early. How's that? And I know you just got back from vacation, and the bid was looking into whether they had the money, whether they're going to extend the hours is still open for discussion. We had, at our redevelopment meeting, we had several very interesting applications. One is something called Motor Envy, which is very high-end specialty cars, like Lamborghinis, Maseratis, things that, everyone dreams of sitting in, type cars. And he came with his attorney, answered all the questions that the agency posed to him, came with plans with very nice signs, understanding some of the limitations in terms of coming into the community, and I think he'll be a welcome addition to our.
Just add it to Maroon Pontiac, tell me.
Oh, okay, we're talking about the Maroon Pontiac. Okay, which brings me, just a reminder, we need that cheat sheet. When I say a cheat sheet, when we do redevelopment, we get lots and blocks and addresses, but we as a community talk about it as maroon property, okay? So we never get so I asked Kevin if we could put together what I call the cheat sheet. So my next application, for instance, I'm not going to give you the lot and block number, but it's called the karate school application. Well, it's not technically the karate school application, but where the karate school was. Another very interesting business is coming into town. They're doing some nice changes to the frontage of the building, and that is an industry. It's going to be a showroom for custom and high-end specialty windows and doors. So that's we're also very much looking forward to having them in town. Just to clarify something when the mayor was talking earlier about good news about our lake. Lake cleanup per se has finished, but they're not finished in the lake. So when you drive by, you still see a tremendous amount of machinery that's working on putting down the eco layer to the parts of the lake that have not gotten their eco layer, and to disassembling some of the equipment that was on the project site on Lakeside Avenue. So even though the cleanup aspect of the lake project is done, the lake project is still very much an ongoing thing. And the last thing I'd like to do is wish everybody a very safe Memorial Day, whatever you choose to do with your friends and family. That's my report.
So one of the side parts of redevelopment is other businesses hear what we're doing here in town and say, that's a town I want to open a business in. So, in some towns around that have this downtown similar to ours, they're still struggling in getting people in those stores. We have probably 4 new stores coming in the next 6 months that are just here because they hear about what's happening in the town. So that's one of the side of pieces that come along with redevelopment. I think some of these businesses that Council President Riker were just talking about are niche businesses, and they're picking our community to do it in. So that shows something. It shows that they feel that this is a place that they can do business. So that's good to see. Okay, Council, who's my next? Bennett. Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to bring up 2 ordinances for discussion. The first one is the ordinance for the open space referendum. I'm going to refer to Councilman DeLine or Borough Attorney Ragno to...
Did everyone get a copy of it?
Yes.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I can start, you can kind of correct me when I'm wrong on things. So the borough has had an open space trust fund since it was passed into referendum back in November of 2001. Under that referendum, there has been essentially two permitted uses of that trust fund, the acquisition of open space and the maintenance and improvement of land that had been acquired using the open space trust fund. So when you think about places like Herschel Park, all the land that the borough has since acquired through the severe repetitive loss things that have moved onto our Rossi, things like that, we cannot use the open space trust fund to do anything with. And it seems like as a result of that, we've created sort of two buckets of open space in our town, which I think is sort of counterintuitive to most residents that we have. You know, we've got a little field that we can do things on, but Herfield Park we can't. We have, you know, Lakeside Avenue, part of Lakeside Avenue Park we can do things, other parts of Lakeside Avenue Park we can't. So what this ordinance is doing, it's introducing a referendum that will be placed on the ballot in November that would, if passed, change what the borough is permitted to use the open space trust fund to do. So it would still allow the trust fund money to acquire new open space, regardless of what that purpose is. It would allow the borough to make improvements, new capital improvements on any open space owned by the borough, regardless of, again, whether it was acquired using the open space trust fund or just generally owned by the borough itself. It would allow the borough to make repair or reconstruction based on certain natural disasters, certain other projects just based on wear and tear, up to a certain amount, and then planning and studying for open space, again, up to a certain amount. So if passed, we sort of gain additional flexibility of the open space. It had been a concern of the committee that it wasn't just going to be sort of another fund to go crazy with. I think that the way we have written it provides us the needed flexibility. It provides, but it is still protective of, I think, the original intent of the Open Space Trust Fund. It ensures that, you know, we can do more things, but it also ensures that we will continue to properly, I think, you know, build up the open space, especially for acquisitions if we need to in the future. So once this ordinance gets introduced and then passed, again, this ordinance would only be to place a referendum on the ballot and not actually change the trust fund. That would be up to the general vote in November to do.
Now, that's correct. The general rule for a borough form of government is that you cannot have a binding referendum. But this is an exception. This particular statute not only permits you to have a binding referendum, it requires you to have a binding referendum to modify your existing open space trust fund. So the only way that you can do what Mr. Deline has talked about is to have this referendum and have the general public vote positively on it.
And the one thing that wasn't mentioned with Eric's report on it was, the other side of this is with the tax restructuring, with the reassessments, the open space fund is getting more money than they were getting in the last year. Is it a double? What is it?
It's essentially doubling.
It's essentially doubling, right?
Well, it doesn't change it's still 1 cent.
Yes.
But because there's a change in the rebound,
Right.
there will be more funds coming in.
Correct. It doesn't change the structure of how it was set up, but because the numbers have changed on the homes, they're getting double the numbers. So I'll just throw numbers out there. If they were getting $50,000 a year, now they're getting $100,000.
I was going to tell you, the actual open space trust fund prior to evaluation was getting $62,000 a year.
Okay.
It's going to be $122,000 a year moving forward. The open space trust fund has over $300,000 in the trust fund. So $120,000, you're gonna accumulate a lot of money rather quickly.
Right, so that's the reason it was, also another reason was, in 3 years, we could have, close to $1 million in our open space. If we keep the ordinance the way it is, the resolution the way it is, we can only spend it on the small projects that we've done. We'd never be able to spend that money. And I understand why it was set up initially that way. It was new to us. We wanted to protect our open space lands, and they were very restrictive on how they set that up. Fortunately or unfortunately, the same members that helped us set that up are still involved with our community, so they have a voice in putting this referendum together. So it's good that we have the old voice who put this together initially, attached with the new members here, and I support it. I think it's a great idea. So I don't know, do we want to,
Well, what, on the next meeting?
but I'll just speak, have discussion now or not?
Oh, you are?
Yeah, no, with the rest of us, no, with the rest of us.
Anyone here?
Yeah, if anybody wants to add anything or questions, now's your time.
It's also more in line with the rest, other communities have
Sure.
for their open space ordinance. Since ours is currently is more restrictive than what other towns have.
Are there certain projects that you have earmarked if this referendum passes that you have in mind?
Well, there are, we've moved forward on developing a conceptual plan for, new fields down at Willow Field. Little League is looking at taking the two, T-ball fields that are sort of on the far side there, that are a ways away, moving them over to where that gravel parking lot is on the other side of the fence where nobody can park, and then building an additional, girls softball field, and sort of creating a closer complex, and actually, even creating a safer condition, because where people park now, you're driving past the snack stand, so at one point, they'll be parking up to a certain point in more fields. So that's one project that we've already started to conceptually design.
And why don't you throw into about replanting?
Yeah, so where the T-ball fields are now, we'll be able to use the Open Space Trust Fund to sort of reforest that area for, for basically flood mitigation and those kind of improvements. Besides that, we're also talking about doing a walking path around the interior perimeter of that Willow Field, so people out there, they can walk along. We're not cutting further back into the tree line, but there's enough space between that post route fence and the tree line to do an improved path or a semi-improved path. The committee has talked about improvements along Lakeside Avenue once the DuPont Essex Delta remediation is done, because we own actually that property from what we recognize as Lakeside Park all the way up to the Lakeside Avenue Bridge. So it becomes an opportunity to sort of do a river walk or a lake walk even right there with some overlooks and things like that. So we've done some pretty rough conceptual designs along that we would like to see move forward. And then there's
What's nicknamed the Muller property?
Yes, the Muller property, exactly.
Okay.
There's opportunities, if this were to pass, to do some, significant improvements at a place like First Park, which is, pretty much our most visited park on a day-to-day or weekend basis. There's a lot of things that have been identified as potential projects within the open space and the open space that, again, at some point we can review those and see which ones can move forward to implementation. Again, I go back to what we have acquired through the Blue Acres and Green Acres, and we have an opportunity now to use this Open Space Trust Fund to do natural habitat restoration, and that would improve flood mitigation and things like that off the Ramapo River. So, we have things in mind definitely for the money. Some of them we can probably do now. Some of them we can, this would allow us the right flexibility. The other thing that this allows us to do that we haven't been able to do before is every time that, for example, the Morris Canal Greenway, every time that we've gone to Passaic County for open space trust funds, they have their open space trust fund, and we typically have some kind of matching grant. We did it at tennis courts, we did it with Christian Park, we're doing it with the Morris Canal Greenway. That has resulted in using capital funding to do so. So we're almost bonding against a project when we're accumulating money in another fund, that we could sort of do more as a, almost like as a pay-as-you-go kind of situation too, when regards to matching grants to the county and other places.
Do you anticipate that the playground equipment, new and updated playground equipment is an appropriate use of the money?
I do, yes.
And I should throw out there that the open space meetings are open to the public. If someone would like to come and has ideas or suggestions, they're more than welcome to come. Give them the times and dates.
We meet the second Thursday of each month at 7:30 p.m. right here in the council chambers. We're preceded by the Environmental Protection Committee that meets at 7 p.m. There's a lot of overlap of members, so if you come here at 7:30, be a little bit patient, because those meetings tend to run a little bit long at times.
Any other questions?
I'd like to add that, so how it opens it up to Herschel Park, it potentially can open it up to like Carlo Field as well. So,
Any open space, parkland, or recreational property.
Yes. But the one thing, and this is where it gets why it was important to get protective of the original intent. All improvements have to be done by the borough, so we can't convey the money to someone else to do whatever. Like anything that happens at a place like Carlo Field or Herschel Park or Willow Field, for example, we can't necessarily give the money to Little League or soccer or football. It has to be improvements done by the borough itself.
All right, good. Thank you.
Or our contract.
Any other questions, concerns?
Sounds good.
So for the public, Joe and Eric explained it, a referendum means there will be a vote put on the ballot. If this all passes, that you vote yes or no to, and deciding if you want to change the open space or you want to leave it the same way. So that's what the public will be voting on. Whatever the public decides on is how we go with that. We can't change anything from that point on. Next one.
the next one is the ordinance amending the downtown Pompton Lakes redevelopment plan, block 7,000, lot 4, 317 Wanacue Ave. I'm going to defer to,
Only the mayor and council can amend the redevelopment zoning ordinances. This actually has to do with the property that Council President Riker just mentioned, the one dealing with MSC expeditions. The redevelopment agency listened to the application of MSC and has recommended to the borough government this ordinance, which adds a provision to part of the zoning ordinance that will make this particular redevelopment plan more viable. So it's a request on the redevelopment agency for you to slightly change the zoning regulations for the redevelopment area around this particular location.
Any concerns, questions about this one?
Just clarification,
Yeah, go
if
ahead.
this helps. Mr. Ragno being the lawyer, discussed it as the MSC, that's their LLC, that's their technical legal entity, but they're doing business as motor entities. So my report used one term, his report
And
used
we're
another.
different, okay.
It's the
Same thing.
It's the same thing.
All right. Did our attorney look at the Hamburg company that you mentioned?
Yeah, so what we should understand as a board, when we make those recommendations, the burden falls on the client to put up an escrow to pay for that service. There is a charge to do all that paperwork.
Right.
It's a couple $1,000. So we're in the process of working out that money.
Oh, okay, and then I'll come forward, okay, thank you.
But that's not what this is.
That's
No,
not,
this is separate, yeah, I'm sorry, yes.
This is different.
I'm getting ahead of, right, okay.
Okay, everybody's good on that one?
As long
Yeah,
as they remove those awful smoke-covered windows,
Can't promise you that.
might as well just put up a blank wall.
On with your, is that it? Or-
Yeah, that's it for the ordinance.
okay, so for the reordinance. So, I just want to mention National Trails Day is June 2nd. I'm sure Councilman DeWine will expound on that. The historic walking tour was it last Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago? It was the 12th, yes. I would consider it successful. I saw a bunch of folks. I couldn't partake myself. I had conflict, but I saw a bunch of people take part in the tour. It was coordinated by the Historic Commission and led by Laura Jennings and Al Evangelista, who just stepped out. I also saw a bunch of people over at the paint and plant over at the library. I'd like to thank the Shade Commission. It was mentioned earlier that during that strong windstorm, that we did not lose power, whereas a bunch of communities around us did. So thank you for your continued hard work. Last week was Lincoln School's talent show. Both my daughters participated. One did a karate kata, and the other did a comedy routine. I want to thank Lois Riga and her helpers for putting that together, and to have kids as young as 5, 6 years old, all the way up to 5th grade, perform in front of a huge audience and have fun with it. It's really good, and support there's no place to sit. There's a ton of people there. So I thank everybody for helping and showing up. Last week I attended the annual addiction conference down in Atlantic City. The Pompton Lakes Prevention Coalition put that together, and a couple of us from Pompton Lakes went down there. It was a great discussion and classes, workshops that I took, and I will share what I learned with the council as well. That's my report.
Can I just add something? When you mentioned about the coalition, if folks are driving around town and they see these yellow signs with black writing, those are a part of the coalition, and it's basically a new version of those who host lose the most, and it's prom time and it's party time, and it's a reminder to those in the community to make sure they don't serve alcohol to underage kids. And so I know that the yellow signs have a lot of words on them, but if you realize that it's the reminder about serving to underage minors, so hopefully you'll see smatterings of them all over the community, and I think we have them pretty well spread out, right?
And just to follow up, we do have an Alliance meeting tomorrow night, Thursday, at 7 o'clock in the Alliance Hall, which is across the way, next to Tony's Pizza there. So everyone's welcome to come, give your opinion. You have someone want to learn something, it's a great meeting. We are still looking for a new coordinator. We do have some resumes that we'll be going through soon, but if anybody's interested in that, you do need some degree work in there, a college degree, and some certain certifications. Please contact the borough administrator, and he'll fill you in on that. Thank you for your report. Next, Councilman Branco. Babe, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. I received the Pompton Lakes Police Department report for the month of April from Chief Moses Augusto. There were 1,661 calls for service for the month of April, 486 motor vehicle stops, 197 motor vehicle summonses issued, 17 motor vehicle accidents investigated, 1 DWI arrest, 20 alarm condition burglary, 9 alarm condition fire, 5 fire calls, 40 ambulance requests, 2 burglaries, 7 thefts, 9 domestic violence, no sexual assaults, and no aggravated assaults. The Detective Bureau investigated 22 complaints, served 9 subpoenas, and 2 warrants. I attended the Pompton Lakes Planning Board meeting on May 15th. On the agenda was a resolution approving the signage for the Pompton Town Square. Also on the agenda was a hearing on the recommendations to designate 11 Lenox Avenue as an area in need of redevelopment. Same was recommended for approval. A conceptual presentation was made, and this was mentioned by Councilman Reichert, to make 306 Wanacue Avenue a window sales and retail showroom. Same was referred to the Pompton Lakes Redevelopment Agency. I attended a meeting on May 17th with the mayor, and the mayor had mentioned it, with the parties interested in operating the radio station, and the negotiations on that are continuing. I attended the Pompton Lakes Community Partnership meeting on May 17th. David Silverstein, chairman of the Redevelopment Agency, spoke about the studying of 9 Hamburg Turnpike, State County Garage on Ringwood Avenue, and the old Fritz and Cooper Station on Wanacue Avenue, to designate them as properties in need of redevelopment. President John Thujan spoke about the projects to correct the drainage and pave the Pond Hall parking lot. He spoke of getting the engineer's input and several ways of correcting the problem. Rob Walker, marketing chairman, reports that the bid has ordered 50 flower pots, which is mentioned. Also the flowers for them and flags for them for the downtown business district. He talked about updating the bid website and coordinating it with the borough's website. He also stated that the sticker contest is going to be extended June 2nd. That's the day of the shredding. And there will be a bid buck sale, and that's going to be on June 16th, and that'll be at the bid office, 274 Wanacue Ave.
What time do they start? Do they announce that?
I believe it's usually 10 o'clock.
Bill, 274, that's next to the Cardinal Cafe, that one? Yes.
Yeah, 2 stores
The
open.
2 stores over? Okay. Same time as last time, all right.
You're showing your age by calling the gas station the Cooper gas station. Some of the people up here might not know what that is. Well, he called the gas station the Fritz Cooper gas station.
Randy remembers.
Some people might not know it. Okay, Councilman Borrego.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start by making a motion to approve the request of the Pompton Lakes Recreation Department to close Lakeside Avenue from Romaine to the Elks Lodge and Perrin Avenue on Sunday, September 2nd, 2018, from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. with a rain date of Monday, September 3rd, 2018, Labor Day, for Pompton Day. Police, fire, and first aid to be notified, and the county to be notified for county roadways. Motion.
Have a motion, is a second, can I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Bay, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. So, there was a change in the date from the calendar for the MUA meeting, which was held this Monday. So I made the mistake of not noting that change, so I was absent from the meeting. Had a brief conversation with Chairman Decker and Commissioner Kent, went over the minutes of that meeting. It was a rather uneventful and very quick meeting, nothing necessarily to report to the council.
Well, there is in your packet, if you want to report that.
Oh, yes, actually, the water quality came out, yes, that's true. That's an annual report, so I didn't think it was something of note. But it is important that the quality of our water is very high, and we're very proud of that. I did have a personal issue yesterday with the Rec Commission meeting, so I thank you, Mayor, for reporting on the day camp for the summer for the Rec Commission. And the May 27th, John Hand, Tri-County VFW Post, and Bob McGrady and crew do a brilliant job of holding a very solemn ceremony for their fallen brothers that I look very much forward every year to attending, with my son who walks with the Cub Scout pack, and I look forward to that again this year, and I hope as many people as possible can come out and join us and celebrate those individuals, and that is my report.
Okay, thank you. So the report he was talking about is a water quality report that the MUA puts out every year. I think they mail it to everyone's home, but also it's on their website. When you open it up, it lists all the agents that are found in the water and where we fall within the ranges. We fall in normal with all the ranges or below normal, which is a good thing. Lead has been in the news a lot, and we're okay with the lead right now in our lines. They do check all the wells, they do check all the lines into there. It's good information, so if you wanted to read it, you can find it on their website, or I think they do mail it to every home. Okay, Councilman Dorn.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to start off. We, probably about 8 months ago now, we had received a grant from Sustainable Jersey, a capacity building grant that we used to actually hire Aaron Blake as sort of our sustainable coordinator to help the borough submit certification actions so we can become certified with Sustainable Jersey. The application deadline is Sunday, June 3rd, so we're coming up right against it. When we started this process, I had mentioned my belief that a lot of the things that the borough does meets their requirements towards these actions. It's a matter of doing the, I guess, the administrative part and submitting the actions and doing all these things. And you need 150 points of all these different kinds of actions worth varying different points to get the bronze level certification. As it looks like right now, I'm meeting with Aaron one last time next Wednesday, when we are going to submit our application for certification as a sustainable Jersey community. We've accumulated 250 points. Not surprisingly, what I thought was going to be the case really was the case. I mean, I think we passed, a resolution for a sustainable land use pledge. We did maybe one other thing along the way. Other than that, it's what our groups do on a daily or a monthly basis. I got great information from Shade Tree. Al Evangelista provided us. All the work that we did on the website the past 2 years actually got us quite a bit of points towards Sustainable Jersey. The Flood Advisory Board, Environmental Protection Committee, Open Space Committee, all of these things that we do, not surprisingly, are doing that. Actually, the Shred Party can get us points too, so we're going to submit for that. So it's really good news, because I think we've been registered since 2010, and we're finally getting over that hump, and we're in really good shape. So I'm really excited. Aaron was phenomenal through the entire process. Again, if it was just one person trying to do all the work and submitting all of it and coordinating the activities, we'd probably be in the same boat as we had been in the last 8 years. But look forward to submitting that very soon. And they go through a review process. They submit comments if we're deficient on anything, or they want additional details and things like that. But I think we've got a huge buffer, even between what we're submitting and what the minimum requirement is. So should things work out, we'll actually be recognized at the 2018 League of Municipalities Conference as a sustainable Jersey community. So, just wanted to thank all the groups, the council for supporting it, Kevin for, his work, and Liz for getting the information that we needed for a lot of things. Tomorrow the Flood Advisory Board is meeting. They meet at 7:30 p.m. right here in the council chambers. They've gone through and they've done their semi-annual river assessment. They usually do it every 2 to 3 years. This year they received some actually free support by an engineering company, Dresser Robin, who used actually their drones to fly the rivers, and that produced some high quality images. I mean, it's crazy how good that imagery is. As a result, that saved a significant amount of time and energy by the Flood Advisory Board. They actually still had to review all the imagery to see where they could identify downed trees and things like that. But even that took a lot less time and putting that information together. So tomorrow night they're going to actually be going through all of that information, so they're presenting it to the rest of the committee. Obviously, these meetings are open to the public. At some point, as they've done in the past, they would also like to present their findings to the mayor and council. So, I'll coordinate with Liz to see when that might be an available time slot. I know typically it's been done sort of an earlier meeting prior to the actual council meeting, so I'll work on things like that. The Trail Maintenance Committee has still been pretty active. They were scheduled to do 2 trail maintenance days this past couple weeks. The one last Saturday had been rained out, much like many things are getting rained out right now in a wet May. We were able to get out there this past Sunday. We had about 20 people, including the Girl Scout troop that came and helped out. So we were able to cover all the trails. The trails, by and large, continue to be in pretty good shape. I mean, we had some downed branches and downed trees, and we're able to get through that with both the equipment without any problems. The Blue Trail, known as that's the county-owned part of the trail system, the aquatic park. is very wet. It continues to be pretty much underwater. The yellow trail from the end of Riverdale Boulevard as you're walking along the trail back towards Willow Field, it's pretty well impassable, actually. There are a number of areas that there's underwater. I was with a group of people, and we had gotten to the point where we reached one water obstruction, found a narrow spot, jumped over it, kept going, clearing the trail, got to another water obstruction, found another narrow spot, jumped over it, got to just about where Riverdale Boulevard is, and where there's sort of that dip, and then the swamp area back there, and there was no place to jump. So we actually had to turn back around and jump back over twice and work our way back. But overall, the trails are in pretty good condition. I mean, once we start to dry out, they'll be enjoyable. And we've actually a number of people went out to Hirschfield Park to prepare and take a look at what we're going to be doing for National Trails Day, which is in 2 weeks on Saturday, June 2nd. It will be held at 10 a.m. This is our 4th National Trails Day that we're doing. The committee is going to be blazing a new trail in Hirschfield Park, north of the baseball field, around the old area of the old swimming hole. There's sort of a trail there now, but now we're starting to formalize it. If you remember, there was a resident that talked about the concern about ATVs being back there, and what we've experienced with our existing trails is that as we formalize them, it's sort of maybe not chased off the ATVs, but I think we've lessened sort of them. So we're hoping sort of the same kind of effect applies. So we'll be doing the blazing. We also be putting up a new trails kiosk right at the trailhead. Kevin was quick on ordering that we've got, so now we just have to put it in. Following the work, we'll be doing a ribbon cutting for that trail and doing a quick guided hike around that trail. And then there'll be refreshments at the end of it. So again, that's Saturday, June 2nd. It's National Trails Day, and it starts at 10 a.m. Like Councilman Bennon and I think Councilman Begg mentioned, attended the ribbon cutting for Nicky G's Pizza on Saturday, May 12th. Later that day, also attended the Cane Plant event. That's the second time that the bid has done that. It's rained both days, which I guess is pretty good for the flowers, but fortunately they do have that tent there, which makes it still work. And then actually did the Historic Commission walking tour as well. Wanted to thank Laura Jennings for leading the tour. In addition, Al Evangelista, Paul Volpe, Mary Franco, and a number of other commission members provided a lot of interesting information along the tour. It's about an hour long. We walked along Wanacue Avenue, went up Lakeside, went to the high school, and then cut through the high school parking lot for Lennox Avenue. Lennox Avenue, talked about the 100th anniversary of Lennox School, and that was pretty much the end of the tour. But I know that they plan on doing it again. It's a worthwhile walk. It's a short time period and learn a lot.
Where can the public get the brochures if they want to?
So we do have on our website, we do have the Historic Commission website, webpage rather, and if you go to Community, under Historic Commission, there is actually you can either click on Historic Commission, or there's a link for what's called the Pompton Lakes Historic Guide, and it's a really well done and graphically pleasing and interesting guide to a number of these sites that we saw and many more about the history of Pompton Lakes.
That's great.
And that concludes my report.
Okay, I just got a question separate from the whole hike. Whatever happened to our bat house? Do we have any bats in our bat house?
We have to check into that. One of the things is, I think Lauren Bennon had talked to one of the people from Rutgers, the bat people at Rutgers. And they said typically it takes about a year or so before the bats, in their migratory patterns, will sort of discover a bat box.
Okay. Keep us posted.
I'm not going to check personally.
I was reviewing my notes from the bid meeting, and we have a representative from the county, and they indicated that on June 11th, they're going to do a green infrastructure meeting here in the Pompton Lakes Council. I think it starts at 6:30? 6:30, and I didn't know if something like that might help add it to your sustainable.
We don't, well, we could, with there are a number of green infrastructure actions associated with that. Some of the things we've already done. We have the green infrastructure outdoor classroom, Hirschville Park, which we're getting points for. But, we've gotten to the point where there's certain policy things that can get us points. So there is a tree protection ordinance that we can pass. There are certain recommendations and information that could integrate from this plan into some of the actions that we do, whether it be something where, for a site plan application, you can get bonus points for impervious coverage, but you have to do certain, a rain garden or some kind of cistern or something like that to reduce stormwater runoff. So there's things that we can do, I think, that we're expecting to see coming out of that plan. But the plan itself, we wouldn't necessarily get points for.
All right, thank you. Councilman Giacomelli.
Thank you, Mayor. Just had a couple of things. The first thing I just wanted to remind, I know you talked about it last meeting, Mayor, with after our several storms we had with the brush, a lot of residents were just used to putting it out there. The DPW were going around picking it up. But just recently, we stopped just picking up. It's got to be cut in 3-foot sections, and it's got to be bundled before they pick it up. I know a couple of residents called me and said, listen, I got it out there, nobody's picking it up, why are you passing it? But this is why I know you mentioned it, well, the mayor mentioned it, well, we didn't know the mayor mentioned it, so I reiterated, I just want to reiterate it again. They cut it 3-foot sections to tie it up. And
Or in a garbage can, now dump it from a garbage can.
Or in a garbage can, exactly right. Not sticking way out, but, right, exactly. Or, of course, they'll take it out to the recycling center. Right. Other thing I wanted to mention, I know it's June 2nd, you're having the trails. Also, during June 2nd, too, the Pompton Lakes Police Department's having coffee with a cop, and it's going to be at the Starbucks. So this is something new they wanted to try. It was had it a different date, but now the new date.
June 2nd.
June 2nd, yeah. So it's at the Starbucks from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., right here in Pompton Lakes. I know it's the same deal as the trails. Maybe you want to get yourself a cup of coffee, energize yourself, and run right over, maybe hit the trails. Oh, that's right. The shred first, yeah. A busy day that day, right. So, but they're out having it, so I know there's a few other things going on, so he also had that. The other thing is our Assemblyman, Kevin Rooney. I know some of you got it. I just want to let the public know. He is our 40th District Representative. He's opening his office at 1211 Hamburg Turnpike, Suite 301 in Wayne, New Jersey here. So it's right over here on Hamburg Turnpike, so if somebody's interested, we're opening it soon. He's having a grand opening June 6th. But just so the public knows, he is our 40th representative, which is Pompton Lake, so his office is there. The last thing I have, I just wanted to mention, listen, kudos. I mean, I know we're still a little ways away, but you think about, was brought to your attention, Mayor, about GHT, them wanting to donate the property to us. Your talks with Kevin, you and our attorney, and then bringing it back to us. A lot of different discussions back and forth. I know a lot of us were a little worried, not too happy, and everything else. But seeing how the fruition, how it came to the point we're at now, Joe bringing it up with the other attorney from the FCC that mentioned to us, listen, let's go for this, and we were a little apprehensive, but we applied for the bid, and we won the FM license. To this point that maybe somebody finally getting it. I know you had a few turn downs with with William Patterson. We're a little skeptical to see where the potential home is at now and what we can do with this property. I think, it looks like it's going to turn out pretty good.
It is.
So, listen, kudos to all of us. Like I said, we had a lot back and forth. I know in discussions we had, and, I want to say, listen, everybody, stuck together, and this is what happens when we work together.
Yep.
And, thank you to Joe, Kevin, everybody, losing you guys back and forth. Yeah, exactly, so which is great news, so thank you, gentlemen. Again, good job, so.
I agree with you 100%.
The following up what Councilman Giaconetti said from the DPW, it's at that time of the year where your grass starts to grow fast and it's raining a lot. I understand that it's been hard to cut your grass if you cut your own grass, but at some point, if your grass gets too high and somebody complains about it, you will be getting a visit from our inspectors. And, at the end of the day, that could be a ticket. So keep in mind, your grass can't get overgrown, and you should keep it in check. If somebody driving down your street feels the grass is too high, they can call, and a visit can come from the inspector, so keep that in mind. Professional reports. No report. Minister's report.
Just a couple of things, Mayor. We received a letter of resignation from Alan DeVries, who works on the DPW department. He left as of May 4th. Local finance notice. Last council meeting, Councilman Riker talked about the salt law came into effect here in New Jersey. Well, today I sent you guys a copy, email it today. The IRS has come out with its own little take on our salt law, basically saying, don't do it, because we're not going to recognize your charitable foundations or whoever else to make it work. So be very careful how we deal with that going forward. So I'm sure as DCA, a notice says there's a lot of work to be done anyway. It might all just fall apart in and of itself. Now the IRS has kind of come out and clarified their review of that. You received the update from Dean, who's our IT guy from Northern Regional Education, for work he did in the month of April. We were talking to the FM translator. Passaic County revised the equalized value tables, which is something, as you recall, Chuck had said to us a couple times when Chuck was meeting with us, that they send these out too soon. There's going to be issues that should be, wait all these cells out. Well, now we have a finally equalized table. The Morris County Greenway project is about 90% complete. This project should have been done a long time ago, but we have run into more weather problems between the snows of February and the rains of April and May, and it's unfortunate, but we're almost there. The plantings are going in. In fact, I was driving around tonight. I was down over on Dawes Highway in that area, and the husband and wife walking their dog on the strip and stuff. So it's come along well. As I mentioned, email last night. Ed Merrill and I had talked. Ed asked permission to have Dave Culp go along the walkway with him. There were a lot of trees, the debris that came down from storms that the contractor wasn't responsible for, just natural occurring issues, and we're probably end up paying a lot of money to do that, so Dave's going to go in and give us the price to kind of clean up all the areas along the walkway that have just been, there's a big, huge branch of Styles Park. The thing was, that kind of thing. So we're going to maintain it ourselves, and it's really the contractor's responsibility. And Grant Ave improvements, now that the bonding is done, design's nearly complete, we've got to bid on Grant Ave.
I had two things I've already brought up to the administrator is, I think Councilman Venon brought it up, our crosswalks are very worn out on Wanacue Avenue. They're pretty bad. Some parts are completely gone. I know we do it in August. We might have to revisit that for just Wanacue Avenue at least. And I know I mentioned to him also that I'm getting a lot of complaints still about Lakeside Bridge. What the residents have to understand about Lakeside Bridge is they did fix the piece in Pompton Lakes. It's the piece...
Based on our request.
Based on our request. But it's the piece in Wayne, which is right before Pompton Lakes, that's really bad on the bridge. And when you make the turn from Oakland 202 onto the bridge, everyone drives on the left side of the shoulder because the road is so bad there. That officially is Wayne, so I can't really request them to work in Wayne, but I'm going to ask Kevin to make that request to see if they can pave that area, because it is a danger when people come in, they shoot into the other lane because they don't want to drive across the Pompton.
It is better than it was, though.
Well, they fixed it a little down, the Pompton side, but in Wayne, they did nothing. Any other questions for the administrator?
Yes, Kevin, do you have any sense of when they are going to finish up the greenway at this point, with what we've got the fundings to do right now?
Yeah, probably in about 2 weeks.
Okay, like we've talked about before, with the budget too already.
Oh, we will, yeah. Again, the weather just...
Weather's been maybe 2 weeks, yeah.
At this point, maybe it'll be some time.
Yeah.
That'd be something we'll have to do.
Did you have your hand up, Beck? No. Anybody else? Okay.
No, thank you.
Meeting open for public comments. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Councilman Giaconetti, Councilman Devine. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to speak? You're lucky, because I was about to say no one from the public, but all right.
the only public member here, Mr. Mayor. I have to give credit where credit is due. I was very critical in the past few years about the donation of the radio station, and against this council, and you took the donation, and I just want to give you credit that we're going to get another radio station there. So sometimes I could admit when I was wrong.
That's good to hear.
Councilwoman Reichert?
Make sure that highlighted in minutes when we get them back.
I'm standing here, Frank. Councilwoman Reichert, there's plenty of communities that have bucket trucks. Bloomingdale has one. I'm sure that our borough administrator and other towns that he's worked for had them. It's just a tool of the DPW. We only had one contractor that bid for our tree removal and pruning. That was Downs Tree Service. No other contractor bid on that, this last contract.
Right.
Years previous, other contractors did. There was 2 or 3 bidders. So we are down to one contractor that does our town work. If, with these storms that we just had, there have bids with other towns, so it's tough to get them. So if we did, in the future, have a bucket truck that we could use for different things that we can reach, as long as it's not around power. That exclusively we do not touch.
We also have to have one certified.
That's true. Well, we have certifications in all kinds of things in the DPW.
Right.
So you just train them.
The training.
That's right. And so we could have that done. Emergency costs are high. Now we're going to have that work done tomorrow. And we're going to have the work done back at the firehouse and at the library. And when you call in Downs Tree Service on an emergency basis, they really pack the charges on us. So we could use a truck. Also, open space fund, for the extra money that's going to be coming in from revaluation. I mean, there was always a possibility of lowering that contribution.
But again, that's through referendum, if I'm correct, right?
No,
We could change on our own?
we have to do it before.
Yeah.
You cannot change it.
Yeah, I don't think we
You
can.
have to do a referendum to change it.
Right.
So that could have been done. Also, that interesting, that one of the trees we did lose on North Stiles fell and hit the house. Didn't do damage to the house, thankfully. The daughter of that homeowner was the Lennox School essay winner for the shade tree. And she wrote her essay on that tree. Wow. That fell a few weeks later. So that was just interesting in our town. The Morris Canal walkway, that plantings are starting on that? Okay, I was just curious about that. Any movement on a tenant for the A&P?
Still in discussion. Hopefully we hear something in the next couple months, month, 2.
They're still working on it?
Still working on it, yeah.
Oh, good. And I just want to emphasize again through the media outlets, talking about the increase in ticks. I had mentioned that at the last council meeting, and just want to mention it again for the residents to keep tabs on their children and keep tabs on themselves, especially walking in the trail south end of town. It's pretty bad down that end of town with ticks, so just wanted to mention that again. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay,
And
thank
have
you.
a happy Memorial Day.
See you there, sir.
You too.
Motion to close the public session. Councilman Branco, Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Privilege of the floor? Anybody have privilege of the floor? I have one thing, forgot to mention, there is a Peter Camper softball memorial on June 9th. There'll be softball teams playing in his memory, and the money will be going to a scholarship fund for him. I know I put together a team. A couple of these council people here will be playing. Yes. So I think it's mostly local fire departments and police departments. Should be a good time. You'll come down and give them a cheer. They'll be selling refreshments and shirts, and all the proceeds go to the memorial. Hirschfield Park at 10 o'clock. Anyone else? You can hit him at Hirschfield Park pretty easily. Yes. That's why we're there. Anyone else privileged before? No. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Councilman Giacomettis, Councilman Branco, thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, before you leave, Liz reminded me,